So yeah, Fridays was a lot shorter than I had originally planned on it being, just because stuff was happening, time constraints and whatnot. I don't have the time constraints today, but it's still not going to be a tremendously long episode because, well, I'm not going to go out of my way to make it as long as possible just for the sake of having it long, but it is probably going to be at least twice as long as Friday's episode. I mean, I'm planning to be awake till like 3 in the morning anyway, so fuck it. Let's just let it happen naturally. Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lyle, and this is WNBA Weekly, the show where twice a week, usually on Mondays and Fridays, I will talk about everything that's happened recently in the association and everything I'm looking forward to in the coming days. So on Saturday, we start off with the Fever versus the Sky. Briann January was the only Indiana player to score in double figures. Meanwhile, for the Sky, Imani Boyette, she had her first career double-double. She had a career high in points and rebounds as she helped pace the way. The Sky get their fourth straight victory, 3 of which have come in road games. And then you have the Storm. They're going off. Man, they're just playing out of control lately. Sue Bird had 24 points, which I believe is a season high. Breanna Stewart adds another double-double to her resume. But their night was spoiled by Alyssa Thomas, who got an offensive putback to give the Sun a 1-point lead with less than a second to go. So Connecticut managed to grab the win. And then the nightcap was, of course, you have the Dream versus the Lynx. And the Dream put up a decent fight. Unfortunately, the Lynx put up a much better fight, and they just continue dominating everybody. They are not en route to winning their 9th straight game to open the season. Speaking of the Lynx domination, they played in Atlanta on Friday, then they got on a plane and went out to Washington, where they played the Mystics on Saturday, and even though the score was much closer, the result was the same. Minnesota manages to get yet another win. They tied the league record with 10 straight wins to open up the season. Speaking of dominance, the Sparks also played the Wings, and the Wings, Skylar Diggins came back. She was one of 3 players in double figures, but the Sparks, they continued dominating. NECA had a huge double-double, and LA managed just to win their 9th straight game. But because they only played 1 game this weekend, at least for right now, just because they played less games, they're just trying to keep pace with Minnesota, who now officially holds the #1 spot. Also, the Stars lost to the Liberty. I know, shocking, right? Then on Sunday, Atlanta had a bounce-back game as they were able to defeat the Sun. Then you also had the Sky. They had a strong lead going into the 4th. Unfortunately, they were playing the Mercury, who are starting to look like themselves again. Diana Taurasi had 31 points. Phoenix is able to stage a late comeback victory. Speaking of late comebacks, the Fever, they were trailing by as many as 17. They did not get their first lead until 30 seconds left in the game. They were losing by 11 at the start of the 4th when Tamika Catching, she finishes the game with 27 points. And the Fever, they had a legitimate chance to win. It came down to the very end, but Jewel Lord, she had 20 points, including a couple of clutch free throws to seal the victory. The Storm win that game by 2. So now, after all of that action, here are the current standings. This season is getting more and more exciting as time goes by. You see the chemistry improving between the players on these teams. And like the Sky, the Mercury, they're starting to look like themselves. You still got the dominance of the Lynx and the Sparks and the whole who's gonna topple first. Especially, like I've said this before, and I'm gonna keep saying it in the hopes that it stays true. I hope that they're still undefeated by the time they face each other first. Got the Wings and the Liberty had a great start, have been kind of lousy since. They've been able to use the excuse of key players missing and just play the waiting game. That did work for a couple of teams like the Mystics and the Fever. They had key guards missing. Briann January is just now returning to form, and Lavillada coming back for Washington. Their returns have definitely helped spark their team. Right now, you've got the 3 teams that are easily identified as the best in the league: the Sparks, the Lynx, and the Dream. And then you've got the 2 worst teams in the league with the Stars and the Sun. And other than that, it's all kind of a jumbled mess right now. So these next 2 weeks are going to be key, because with some of these teams facing off against each other, we're going to start seeing a little bit more separation as we start heading towards the end of this month. So now we move on to the games that are being played this weekend, and as always I will tell you which ones are currently scheduled to air nationally, which means everyone in the US can watch it. And for the rest, you can always check your local listings, or you can watch every single one of these games on WNBA League Pass. Also, I'm going to tell you the times in Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to adjust for your time zone. For Tuesday, we've got 5 games being played, 4 of them being broadcast nationally. The first 2 are both at 7 o'clock on ESPN3. Not sure how that works, but I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out. You start with the Mystics and the Sun at 7 on ESPN3. Also the Wings and the Liberty at 7 on ESPN3. Then of course the game that everyone's talking about, the Fever at the Lynx. The Lynx, they have a chance right now to break their own record, get their 11th straight win to start the season. And right now we're just playing that game of how long can it last. Then you finish off the night with the battle between the Sky and the Sparks, that one at 10:30. Then on Wednesday you have no games, but on Thursday you've got 2. You've got the Liberty at the Sun at 7, then the Storm at the Wings at 8:30. So yeah, that's it for this edition of WNBA Weekly. I hope it satisfied. And if it did, like, comment, subscribe, all that other bullshit, you know the drill. It's all good. So the next edition of WNBA Weekly will be up on Friday. And until then, this has been the Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lyle. Have a great week.